sponsorship.
Right.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. It's
yeah,
Rob.
so the shows are the shows are just long because we're enjoying playing.
That's incredible. I mean, you don't get 3-hour sets from anybody these days, so.
No, I know. And yet we've done a couple of shorter sets when we've been playing a couple of festivals, just slotted in, and it feels really weird actually playing for less time. There are a couple of times I suppose when we were in the middle of the European tour and everyone's feeling a little bit tired. But once you get on stage, it's like if you feel tired on stage, you should give up.
Right. I feel like I've been looking forward to this show for so long because it was like back in October.
Yeah.
Because I went to Polestar like to see what shows are coming up, and like everything ended in like February or March, and then like 2 months later, oh, there's The Cure at the Agganis Arena. So I've been looking forward. It's like that show's been posted forever.
Yeah.
What was up with that?
We scheduled the tour for. We started off this tour, this fall tour as it's called, in I think it's August, September of last year. We went to Australia and Japan, the Far East, and we were supposed to be playing North America after that, but I wanted to get the way the band were playing and the way that I was singing. I wanted to capture that and finish the album up while we were in the spirit of it. So it took a lot of, not really courage, but I had to put up with a lot of fallout, a lot of stick for postponing and pushing it back. But I'm glad I did, because we went back in the studio and we re-recorded stuff. Because once you start playing, something happens. You know, it's a different.
Well, my days with you date back to Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. That's when I first got introduced to The Cure. I was a little 10-year-old geek addicted to MTV, and Why Can't I Be You was the first time I get introduced to The Cure. So I've been listening to you guys for years, and several lineup changes and several sound changes over the years. And I know I read something online, so you know it's got to be true. I read something online a couple of months ago that you didn't know what the new record was going to be, whether it's going to be like, you know, darker Blood Flowers kind of stuff or upbeat, poppy Cure stuff. What can we expect from the record?
Well, as things stand, I think the probable outcome, I still haven't decided. I mean, I'm still... I really haven't. I mean,
you don't get a release date for September, Rob.
I've got several running orders. They're all completely different. What we're doing with this singles idea is actually the B-sides that are accompanying the singles. We're going back to the old days when we put out really good B-sides with A-sides, so that that's 2 good songs rather than just one. And so they're potential album tracks that we're putting out as the B-sides. So I'm kind of reducing my options as each single comes out. I've got a feeling that it will almost certainly be a single album.
Because they're going to be going back and forth with that, yeah.
I think that a couple of months back I sort of came to an arrangement and understanding that, I mean, essentially what we're doing is we're releasing all these other tracks kind of as B-sides, and there's no such thing as B-sides anymore, because I mean, if they're out on the web, they're there, it's music, so it doesn't bother me. And the fact that if they're going to come out, they're going to be listened to. I want the album to be a very coherent sort of thing. I've kind of changed my mind about it. It was a big rambling, sprawling thing. I now think it's not. It works better as a 13-track, quite a short album. Actually, it's
all killer, no filler.
Yeah, and it's it leaves us with just about 2 songs shy of a second album, which has got all the really downbeat stuff. So the album that's going to come out, I think, is apart from 2 songs probably, is kind of quite an upbeat album. It's not necessarily happy though. There's a difference between upbeat and I mean,
absolutely.
There's quite a few fast songs on there which have got a very dark undertone to them. But the really big epic songs, I think we're going to save and release as sort of a Christmas album, like a very unhappy Christmas album. It's wild.
The influence that The Cure has had on bands since you guys have come out, Rob, it's amazing. There's not many bands in 30 years, let alone recently, that can have the impact you guys have had on so many other bands. Especially nowadays, you just don't get a sense from a lot of the bands that you hear and you go to see that they're going to have influence like that for so many years. It's such a broad final question here, but in your understanding, what do you think has helped the longevity for The Cure over all these years? What have you come to feel this is why? What stood the test of time?
It's an often asked question in the last few years as we've been kind of like growing older. I think there's a number of factors. I think that the main reasons I think are likely to be our attitude towards what we do. We've all, even when we were a very commercially successful group, we've kind of up and down over the years, we've always been perceived as slightly wrong, slightly outside of what goes on. And I think that's been an important part of it. And it's not a position that we adopt because it's a clever thing to do. It's actually how I feel about what we do. I don't want to be. I mean, I'm not kind of railing against the the machine in a naive way and saying that, because obviously we're part of it. We've been signed to an independent label, in inverted commas, which has always been distributed by a major. So I've been part of the system. But I like the idea of doing things in our own way and suffering the consequences of our own mistakes, as well as understanding why we do well when we do well. And no one else really knows that. And no one else really understands what The Cure does apart from the people that are in it. And fans that get kind of caught up in it appreciate that. I think they know that whatever we do, even if they don't like it, we're doing it for our own reasons. Sometimes they hate what we do, but they can appreciate the reasons behind doing it. I think that's a really important thing. So it's like the attitude of the band is kind of like an outsider attitude. I think the melodies of the songs is pretty key. I think that without some good tunes and getting radio play, you're not going to last that long. I think lyrically, I've always felt very strongly that the words that I sing most of the time have to mean something to me, and I figure if they mean something to me, they'll mean something to other people. Right. And too many young bands, I think, don't pay any attention at all to the lyrics. They're like banal in the extreme, and I think those three things combined, plus we were lucky in a sense to have come on the back of come out of the punk thing and have existed and actually created a global sort of fan base before the internet. And it's a much more solid, and it's impossible now, we were able to do things in a very quiet way around the world, and no one knew what we were up to, and suddenly we emerged, and it was like, who are these people, who is this band? And it was too late for them to stop us by then, because we played everywhere, like 4 or 5 times around the world. Now, it's impossible to do that. You get noticed, and everyone knows who you are, and everything, it's like, with us, with doing new songs, we know that within a few minutes of doing it, it's going to be up on YouTube, which is fine. It's it's a good thing in some ways, but and now I think that everything's kind of been turned on its head, and it's like you can know almost everything about everyone, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem.
It's a little bit of mystery out of it.
Yeah, but
fun to find.
I can't really do anything about it. So, apart from not be on Cribs, I suppose.
Right. We're waiting for the Robert Smith Cribs episode.
You won't believe it? They ask me again. They ask me every year.
Do they?
Yeah. They're desperate to get me on there. Yeah. I tried to.
I bet he's got a really cool.
No, when we were recording the Wild Moosewings album, I think it was the first time. It might have been Bloodfast it was, when we were recording at Jane Seymour's big country house, and I was trying to convince them that's where I lived, but they found out that it wasn't, and they cancelled it, so it was like...
Oh, it would be great.
Would have been a giveaway, because there's all pictures of Jane Seymour in her underwear on the wall, so it's like, probably best that I didn't do it.
So you mentioned when you write songs, they got to mean something to you. A lot of your songs are very dark. You obviously, everybody gets depressed and stressed out. Where do you go and what do you do when you get stressed out?
Well, I think when I was younger, that sense of sort of angst, it's always kind of codified, and it's like teenage angst. You're supposed to grow out of it, and I suppose if you don't, I've never understood people that do. Actually, it informs an awful lot of what you do. You can't help but just fall back into that state of mind from time to time, which is perhaps me. I just kind of ride it out nowadays. I've got far less to people say, how can you possibly be unhappy and stuff, but it's nothing to do with the material world. It's a spiritual question again.
Right.
So, I don't know, but I think that down the years, actually, what I do with the band has proven to be a huge
stress relief.
Yeah, it's a great way of. I always say to people, if you feel really kind of too down about things, then you should try and just make something out of nothing. I mean, writing a really good song, or just like singing to people, performing, it pulls you out of yourself and actually stops you from feeling, it breaks the cycle, I suppose, in some ways.
Very cool.
Sometimes doing this, I often think to myself, why, I can't possibly go on and do this again. But once I'm up there and doing it, it's more fun than,
Real quick, before we wrap it up here, you've often said, I'm going to put The Cure to bed, I'm done. You've said it a couple of times. How do you feel right now? Do you feel like you can go on for another 10 years, or is this maybe the last album?
Well, I always approach every album we do as the last album. That is proposed. And everyone in the band always believes that it is. One of them will be. So I'm not
Right.
actually lying when I say it.
Right.
And when we're touring, when we're going on stage tonight, we'll be saying last night in Boston. I mean, that's how we approach going on stage. There's no point saying like, if we fuck up, we'll come back and do it again.
Right.
It's this is it. So at some point it will be. I don't know. I've given up predicting.
You've done it too many times.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be funny. They was here when we used to wake me to say it. That's it. It's all over. But no, I would be surprised if we celebrate our 40th anniversary. I'll put it like that. But our 30th is
Great to hear. Robert Smith, a true legend. Thank you very much for your time. That's Robert Smith from The Cure, and Rob and Mark here from CYY backstage at the Agganis Arena.